If someone asked your website a direct question right now, and AI was the one reading out the answer, your site would probably fail. Not because your content is bad, not because you don't know what you're talking about, but because of where you put the answer. I build and audit websites for trade businesses, plumbers, electrician, roofers, HVAC companies, and I see the same problem on almost every single one. The business owner knows the answer, they got it somewhere on the page, but it's buried deep in there. It's in paragraph 6 or 8, after a bunch of intro fluff, after the we've been serving Edmonton for 20 years stuff, after explaining the history of the trade. And that's a problem, because AI doesn't read your whole page the way a person does. It skims, it looks for the direct answer, and if it doesn't find it fast, it moves on to the next result. And that business gets a mention. That business gets named. You don't. So today I'm going to break down exactly what's happening, why it matters for your business, and what you can actually do about it. So let me back up for a second and explain what's actually going on. When somebody types a question into ChatGPT or Google with AI overview turned on, or Grok, any of these AI-powered search tools, what happens behind the scenes is that the AI goes out and reads web pages, real pages, your page potentially, and then it synthesizes that answer, and sometimes it cites its sources. The question is, does it cite you? Here's the thing people don't realize. AI isn't reading your page like a human does. A human person lands on your homepage, maybe scrolls around, clicks to your services page, reads a bit here and there. They're just browsing, you know? AI is scanning. It is looking for a specific signal. It wants to find a clear, direct answer to whatever question got asked, and it's making that call very quickly. Think of it like this. Imagine you ask a question to two people. Person A says, "Great question. So there's a lot of factors to consider here. Let me give you some background first, blah, blah, blah." And then 5 minutes later, they get you the actual answer. Person B says, "Here's your answer, and here's why." Who do you trust more? Who would you quote? AI works the same way. It rewards whoever answers first and answers clearly. And if your answer is buried halfway down the page after all your introductory content, AI has already moved on to the next guy. Now let's make this more specific because this is a trades and service business channel after all. A homeowner types into ChatGPT, "How much does it cost to replace a hot water tank in Edmonton?" There are probably 50, if not more, plumbing companies in Edmonton with websites. Some of those websites will have a page talking exactly about hot water tank replacement. But here's what most of those pages look like. They start with, "At ABC Plumbing, we've been serving Edmonton homeowners since 2005. And they explain what a hot water tank is. And they talk about their certified technicians. Then maybe around paragraph 6 or 7, somewhere in the middle of that page, there's a sentence that says something like, "Prices vary depending on the size and model." That's the answer, but it's hidden and it's vague. So compare that to a page that starts with, "Hot water tank replacement in Edmonton typically costs between $1,200 and $2,500, including parts and labor. The exact price depends on the tank size, type, gas versus electric, and whatever any retrofitting is needed or so on." Which page do you think the AI is going to quote? The second one, every time. And it's not a hypothetical. I've tested this. I've gone and asked AI tools about services in specific cities and watched which specific businesses get cited. It is always the ones with direct, upfront answers, the ones who lead with the information instead of burying it. So now, I'm not really blaming anyone because I understand why content gets written this way. A lot of business owners either write their own content or they hired somebody to write it, and whoever writes it follow a kind of old school content marketing formula. Start with the hook, build context, and then deliver the information. It's a storytelling structure, you know? And for blog posts or long form articles meant to keep somebody reading for 4 or 5 minutes, that can work fine. But for a service page, for an FAQ page, for any page where somebody has a specific question and wants a quick answer, that formula is backwards. You need to flip it. Lead with the answer, then support it with context and detail. There's actually a name for this in journalism. It's called the inverted pyramid. You put the most important information at the top, and the supporting detail comes after. Journalists write this way because historically, if a newspaper had to cut an article for space, they cut from the bottom. So the most critical stuff had to survive, and AI works the same way. It reads from the top, it finds what it needs early, it uses it, and moves on. Journalists write this way because historically, if a newspaper had to cut an article for space, they cut from the bottom, so the most critical stuff had to survive. AI works the same way. It reads from the top. If it finds what it needs early, it uses it and moves on. If it has to dig to find the answer, it'll often just find it somewhere else. So I think this is kind of where it gets a bit more actionable. AI-powered search tools are looking for a few key signals on your page. So what should a page look like? First, a direct answer near the top. If somebody asks, does XYZ roofing company offer emergency repairs? The answer should be in the first paragraph of that page, not the fourth. Not under the contact form, the first paragraph. Second, clear headers that match the questions being asked. AI uses your H2 and H3s, the subheadings, to navigate your page. If your headers are vague, like our services or more information, AI doesn't know what's in those sections. But if your header says, how much does roof replacement cost in Edmonton? That's a direct match to a question a homeowner is going to type. Third, FAQ sections with actual answers. This is low-hanging fruit that I truly cannot believe more trade businesses aren't doing. A simple FAQ section at the bottom of a service page, real questions with real answers, is one of the most AI-friendly structures you can create because it's literally in question and answer format, which is exactly what AI is trying to produce. And I want to be clear. These aren't tricks, they're not hacks, they're just good content structure. You're organizing information in a way that's easier to find and use. That's good for AI. It's also good for the human who lands on your page at 10 p.m. trying to figure out if you do emergency services. So I actually want to talk about a few things that I've seen while doing website audits for clients. I audited a site for an HVAC company a while back. They had a page about furnace insulation. The page was actually pretty long, so a good amount of content. But I searched for their city plus furnace installation costs in an AI tool, and they didn't show up at all. Their answer was on the page, but it was buried down. It was in the second to last paragraph. So we restructured the page, moved the pricing range to the top of the page, added a header that said exactly what the search question was for, added an FAQ section at the bottom with questions that homeowners would actually ask. 4th month later, the same search, and they're getting cited. So I've seen the same thing happen with electricians. A company had a whole page about panel upgrades. Great technical content, but the first 3 paragraphs were basically just a sales pitch. Trust us, we're licensed, we care about your business, blah, blah, blah. The actual information about timelines, permit, costs, it was way down the page. So the fix isn't to delete the trust building stuff, it's to move the answer first and then let the trust building content follow. And I also want to flag one more mistake I see because it's the opposite problem and people fall into it just as often. Some businesses here answer the question fast and they go too far in the other direction. They write a super short page, like 3 sentences. We do furnace installations, call us for a quote, we're licensed or insured. That's it. That's not what I'm talking about. AI isn't just looking for an answer, it's looking for a complete answer. Google calls this the helpful content. They want to know that your page actually covers the topic thoroughly. So yes, answer the question early, lead with it, but then expand on it. Talk about the factors that affect the price. Talk about the process, what the process looks like. Talk about what question homeowners should ask before hiring. Talk about the difference between options. So the sweet spot is answer fast, then go deep. Don't make people scroll for the answer, but also don't give them a one-liner and call it a day. A well-structured service page for a trade business actually has a direct answer or value statement in the first paragraph, a few key supporting paragraphs with real information, some clear headers so people and AI can navigate, and then an FAQ section that handles the follow-up questions. A clear call to action, and that's it. That's the structure. You don't need to overthink it. So here's what I actually want to do if you want to check your own site. Pick your most important service page, the one where you want to win the most business on. Open it up. Now ask yourself, if somebody asked me the most common question about the service, the price, the timeline, whatever I offer, emergency service, whatever it is, and I only had 5 seconds to answer it, where does that answer live on the page? If you have to scroll down more than that one screen to find it, that's your problem. That's the thing to fix. Then look at your page headers. Read them out loud. Do they sound like questions a real person would Google? Or do they sound like category labels somebody put there in 2015? Okay, now check. Do you have an FAQ section at all? If not, write down 5 questions, just 5, you get asked on the phone all the time. Those are your FAQ entries. Write the actual answers, put them on the page. That's an afternoon's worth of work, and it will do more for your AI visibility than any SEO trick or keyword stuffing strategy you'll read about online will do. And I want to close with this because I think some people are watching this and thinking, okay, I'll get to it eventually. AI-powered search isn't coming. It's here. A huge percentage of searches now surface an AI-generated answer before you ever see the organic results. Think Google AI Overview, ChatGPT with the browser extension enabled, Perplexity AI. These tools are being used by homeowners right now, today, to research who to hire. So if your page isn't structured to answer their question clearly and early, you are invisible to those tools. And the businesses that fixed their content structure 6 months ago is the one getting mentioned, is the one getting called. This is one of the clearest opportunities I've seen in a while for local service businesses to pull ahead of their competition, because most trade businesses have not done this yet. Most of them are still running 2018 era websites with 2018 era content structure, which means if you fix this right now, you're not catching up, you're actually getting ahead. So here's what I want you to do right now. Go to the most important service page you have today, not this weekend, and do this one thing. Move your answer to the top. Whatever question you know your customers are asking, make sure to answer it in your first paragraph. Not paragraph 8 or 9, paragraph 1. So if you want a second pair of eyes on your site, somebody who actually builds and audits these things for a living, that's part of what we do here at Inspire Method. We work with home service businesses on exactly this type of stuff. We go through your site and tell you exactly what's working, what isn't, and what to change. So if that sounds like something that you would like, that's a conversation worth having. The link to reach us is in the description. And if you found this useful, share it, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.